In the last lecture, we improved our application a tiny bit by adding should component update to the modal to make sure we don't update any components there unnecessarily. Now, what about other lifecycle methods like component did mount or component did update and all these things? Why don't we use any of them? When would we use them? Well, actually, you will see some of them being used once we add HTTP. As you saw on the slides in the last course module, the component did mount and component did update lifecycle hooks are extremely important for causing side effects. That sounds strange, but in the end just means things like reaching out to a web service and fetching data from there. Now, we're not doing that yet in the application. There isn't much initialization we have to do in our components. That is why we don't need the lifecycle hooks. Other hooks like will update and so on, which we don't use except for logging here, well, you typically don't use these that often. There might be some cases where you need to adjust your component state based on some props you received from outside, and that certainly can occur in bigger React applications, but it's also not that uncommon to have React applications where you don't use that many lifecycle hooks except for component did update maybe. So that is the reason why you don't see too many of these being used. There will be more once we add HTTP access, as I mentioned. But for now, this is how the application works and looks. It's a pretty good application, showing a lot of features of React and a lot of best practices. So with that, we're nearing the end of this module. We have an awesome application. There's one more optimization, or really more of a change we can implement, which is optional, but which I still want to show you. Let's have a look at that in the next lecture.